I went home and told my parents what I planned to do. My mother was horrified and strictly against it. At the time, I needed my parents' consent to join because of my age. I was 19. My father agreed to sign and convinced my mother to sign also. I remember her saying that if anything happened to me, she did not want to be blamed for letting me go in the Army. I was sworn in with the rest of the recruits. I had a choice of joining a weather squadron or a bombardment squadron. Of course, I chose the bombardment squadron. I did not join the Army to study the weather. I joined to fight. That is what I thought. I was therefore assigned to the 16th Bomb Squadron of the 27th Bomb Group. Army clothes and equipment at this time were in short supply and we were not provided with clothes, etc. for quite some time. Obviously, my statement that I always make is I'm skipping big chunks of this book and reading some of the highlights so you get the flow of the story before we get into the meat of the book. It's a great book. It's a relatively short read, but it's a great book. Back to the book. The clothing we had was essentially still World War I. We had leggings, campaign hats, etc. at this time. And then he ends up going to a school to learn his skills about bombing. Back to the book. The school lasted about 9 months, and I came out knowing everything there was to know about an airplane. When school was over for my class, I was offered a position as instructor of drafting, but I turned it down. I wanted to get back with my outfit, and his outfit was down in Savannah. When I got back to Savannah, I found my outfit packing up to go on maneuvers in Louisiana. Within a few days, we were on our way by Army truck. At night, we would stop, set up our mess tent, eat, and hit the sack. We slept on the ground under a pup tent. It took us 2 or 3 days to reach our final stop, which was at the airfield at Lake Charles. Here we lived in tents, again just as our first days in Savannah. As far as I was concerned at the time, maneuvers were a joke. Instead of having actual machine guns, anti-aircraft guns, foxholes, etc., there were wooden signs all around to indicate these. If the air raid siren went off, we were supposed to run out to one of these signs. The way that one of the maneuvers did apparently help us with down the line was to adapt to hard, rough outdoor living. We were also on reduced rations, which helped prepare us for what was to come later on. We would fly over the enemy and drop small sacks of flour on them. Referees could tell if we hit or missed, and the sides were scored accordingly. I don't remember how long these maneuvers lasted, but it seems like it was at least a month. So they're out there. I thought this was interesting because we do dumb stuff like that sometimes in the military where, well, you think it's dumb, but what you're really trying to do is get the broad muscle movements of a military organization working. Mm-hmm. So you say, okay, because it's not easy to get 500 men assembled and moved to a location. That it takes practice. And so that they just run people through planning and training exercises that you're just trying to get these broad muscle movements, even though for the troops on the ground sometimes, I remember sometimes I'd be thinking, this is ridiculous. This is so unrealistic. But we weren't training the frontline troops. What they were training was the logistics of this giant scenario. So that's kind of what they're doing here.